we can clearly see that this most recent correction in 2018 and 2019 perfectly mirrored the 2014 bear market simply by measuring the percentage moves. The main difference here is that in 2015 and 2016, it retraced 70 to 80% of the move right at the block halving. However, in this market, we've retraced it and priced in the block halving already, and we're still 6 months away. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart and how it compares to the past. And I'm really just kind of building off of my most recent video that I did where I showed the Fibonacci retraces of the Bitcoin dominance and how the fractals overlay. The most common thing we see, or at least I have seen all over the internet, is that there is no alt season until Bitcoin breaks $20,000. And I've seen this so many times. The argument that they have is that when we had the last alt bull run, it occurred right here. This was the monster altcoin bull run of 2017 that began in March. So it started right here. And this was after we had broken the all-time high and came back and tested the all-time high as support. Then the altcoins went crazy. But I'm going to show you why the Bitcoin chart is different this time and how the Bitcoin block halving has already been priced in. Now, before we dive into the charts, I want to take a look at some information that's out there so we can kind of get some context before we look at the chart. And as we all know, in May, we have the block halving come up. I believe it's supposed to be around May 14th, where the difficulty to mine a Bitcoin will be about twice as hard. And here we are with Willy Woo at Woonomic. Never have we gone into a halvening in bearish price action. Miners already capitulating, adding sell volume. Historically, we front run with a bullish setup. Miners capitulating only after the halvening when revenues are slashed. This is a unique setup and it's quite bearish leading up to the event. So what he is saying is that we are seeing that miners are starting to exit right now and capitulating right now, which we have never historically seen occur as we lead up to a halving event. When we look at the hash rate, so this is the estimated number of terahashes per second. Now, I'm not even going to pretend to act like I know what all of this means. I assume most of the people watching my channel don't know what any of this means. Let's just say that this is a representation of the number of people who are mining and who are in business to mine. And it goes up and it goes down and they capitulate. This is when they are no longer profitable and they stop mining. So this would be in December of 2018. Then we've settled down. The people who are still profitable remain. The price starts to go up and some miners come into the game. And as we can see, once Bitcoin topped out back in July at around $13,000, we kept going. And then now with the price going down, this growth, which should be continuing up to here, has stopped. And we can see this in other articles. This one was written earlier today. Bitcoin miners are beginning to capitulate 6 months before the next halving. Both large and small scale Bitcoin miners have been suffering in the past few months as the price has retreated, and mining difficulty has shot up. It seems like a perfect storm for capitulation, which would likely further negatively affect the price of Bitcoin. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That would just you would have to have such a deep understanding of how all of that works to be able to actually say it will likely further negatively affect the price of Bitcoin. But when I just try to think about it myself, right? Okay, so I'm in business to mine Bitcoins. The difficulty of mining these Bitcoins is getting harder and the price is going down. I've got electricity costs, I've got hardware costs, and now I'm starting to become unprofitable. So every time I mine Bitcoins, I sell some to cover my costs, but I also keep some. But now I'm at the point where I can't even profitably mine Bitcoins any longer. So I'm going to shut down shop and I'm going to sell out of all of my Bitcoins. And then, we're already having this happen right now. And then in 6 months from right now, it's going to be getting twice as hard. So when we go back and look at what Willy Woo is saying, he's saying we've never gone into a halvening in bearish price action with miners already starting to shut down shop leading up to the halvening. Typically we're having more miners come into the game. And so here's his write up, and it says introducing the difficulty ribbon signaling the best times to buy Bitcoin. So he's come up with his own little setup here to kind of say, hey, this is when things are better for miners or worse for miners and the time to get in and out. And his ribbons are starting to flip over, unlike that they at any time leading up to a halvening before. So the challenge that we see is that, hey, miners in the past were still coming in. They were coming into the game leading up to this halvening, which occurred right here. It occurred right about there. The miners kept coming in. But for the first time ever, as we're leading up to this block halving, miners are exiting and selling. It's as if they aren't profitable now and don't anticipate being profitable after the halving. I don't know. That's just speculation and it's based on nothing. But it's interesting to see that we had an increase in miners leading up to the halving, and this time we're having a decrease in miners leading up to the halving. So we have to say to ourselves, okay, well, what's going on with the price action? Why are we not having an increase in miners like we were last time? Well, let's take a step back for a second and let's look at this Bitcoin correction and see if it's in any way resemblance of this one. Now, when you look at this, does this look the same to you or does it look different? To me, it visually looks different, but when you measure it, it's actually completely identical. And we can see this just by measuring the moves. So we go down 68%, down 68%, up 97%, up 96%, and then we come down 72%, down 72%. So hey, these actually are identical. They just visually look a little different. But what's going on leading up to this block halving? And why can altcoins take away some of Bitcoin's dominance right now and not have to wait until we get here? And it really comes down to the fact that we already priced in the Bitcoin block halving. When we look back into the past and we see what the price action was doing, this is the block halving right here. Back in July of 2016, and the price had retraced and was right around the 70.2% retrace of the bear market. So we fell and then we retraced 70% of it, and then the block halved. We fell, retraced 70% of it, and the block still doesn't halve until there. So structurally and price-wise, things have changed here. Things are different from what they were back here. Once Bitcoin finally got back up here and the block halved, it only corrected a little bit. It didn't even go below the 50%. Whereas with this one, we corrected all the way down here. That would be like us correcting down to here. So just structurally, the chart is very different. So to say that we have to come back up here for an altcoin rally to occur, I don't find that to be the case because of the fact that things are different this time. And that brings us right back over to the Bitcoin dominance chart. If you watched my last video, I talked about the importance of how when you crash and you retrace back 70% and then you continue another leg down, we have that exact setup. We've crashed, retraced 70%, and when we zoom in and overlay the previous crash pattern, we are exactly there. And I find it no coincidence that when we come back to the XRP chart and we take these previous patterns and see how time is so interesting right now, particularly when you just overlay previous movements, and you see that time also aligns. One can only hope, but I think the case is pretty strong that we should all be on high alert right now. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. As always, this is not investment advice. I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.